So we've got qualifying today, which is going to be fun to watch on the qualifying session after the sprint race, which was earlier today, which Max Verstappen, obviously, he won the sprint race. Nothing different about the sprint race weekend. So we've got this qualifying today with the race same time tomorrow. Verstappen, who got pole position for a sprint race, finished first in the sprint race. It was just a normal day for him. So we are just 13 minutes away till qualifying, till the pit lane opens and we get ready for qualifying. So, last time out in the sprint race, Verstappen finished first, Leclerc in second, and Perez in third. Ricciardo finished in fourth, Carlos Sainz in fifth, and that was the top five. Max Verstappen got the fastest lap of the race, with Lance Stroll and Lando Norris retiring from the race. It was a big race. Max Verstappen still leads the World Championship with 118 points. Behind him is Perez with 81 points. Ricciardo got 5 points. Tsunoda, who got 1 point and still in 11th in the World Championship. Racing Bulls had a great race. For this qualifying, they started Daniel Ricciardo started P4 and Tsunoda started P15. Before the sprint race, Tsunoda finished 8th and Ricciardo finished 4th, with Lewis Hamilton getting bumped down to 16th and Magnussen getting bumped down to 18th. Kevin Magnussen got bumped down to 18th with a 20-second time penalty for exceeding track limits. Lewis Hamilton, I think for speeding in the pit lane, he got a penalty as well, and that's why he finished 16th instead of 8th. It was a very close sprint race, so very interested to see how this qualifying session goes. Verstappen, who got the fastest lap in the sprint qualifying, was the fastest lap in sprint qualifying was a minute 27.641, set by Max Verstappen in the Red Bull. Can anyone beat that qualifying time, as we are just 11 10 and a half minutes till qualifying. Carlos Sainz makes his way he's in the track, getting ready for qualifying. Carlos Sainz, an incredible driver who finished 5th in the sprint race. His teammate Leclerc in the other Ferrari finished P2 as the drivers are getting ready for the qualifying session. So, 9 minutes till qualifying, everyone making their final changes. Valtteri Bottas making his way back to the garage. He finished Bottas finished P14 with his teammate Zhou Guanyu finishing P11 in qualifying. In the sprint race. And Logan Sargent, who finished P10 during the sprint race, and his teammate Alex Albon finished P13 after starting in the pit lane. It was a pretty entertaining sprint race. The Haas of Nico Hulkenberg, who finished P7, the other Haas driver, Kevin Magnussen, who finished last, P18, got a 20-place grid penalty for completely skipping over the chicane, driving right over the chicane. So it's going to be very interesting to see how everyone performs in qualifying, with everyone being so close in the sprint race, with the sprint qualifying not being so surprising, but the sprint race was a really good race. Going into qualifying, having high expectations in qualifying. So we are just 7 minutes away from qualifying. The first Q1 should be very interesting to see. So we are going to so as we get into the first part of qualifying, will anyone complete a lap faster than a minute 27.641? Because that was the fastest lap during qualifying during Q3. The slowest lap being a minute 29.858. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this qualifying session goes. Tomorrow we are starting at 3 p.m. Should be a 3 p.m. start. Race begins at 4 and I'll be here at 3 p.m. So it should be very interesting to see how this goes. 6 minutes and 30 seconds till qualifying begins. So it'll be 6 minutes till qualifying begins. Be right. So it's going to be an interesting qualifying session with the way the sprint race went. The qualifying session should be pretty interesting. 5 minutes till the pit lane opens for qualifying. As we start to get the teams already did their last preparations, so we are ready for the teams are ready and the drivers are getting settled back in the car. With 4 minutes and 30 seconds till the pit lane opens. Tomorrow we've got the race at 4 p.m. Should be a pretty interesting race, the way the sprint race went. High expectations for how the race is going to go with a pretty good sprint race. With the way that the race went. So we are here for the Formula One Crypto.com Miami Grand Prix. We came off Shanghai. We come from Asia to North America, and our destination is Miami in the United States of America. For round 6 of the FIA Formula One World Championship, we head to the Miami International Ultradrome for some Formula One action. 5.412 kilometers, 3 miles long, 19 turns, 3.53 meters in elevation change. The tire compounds we are using this weekend, the soft, mediums, and the hards. The softs will be the C4s, the mediums are the C3s, and the hards are the C2s. The softs, the fastest to use, being the C4 tire compound. As the drivers are about to get out on track, we are here for round 6 of the FIA Formula One World Championship. We are going qualifying for this weekend for the race tomorrow, as we have just 2 minutes till the pit lane opens and the drivers will get out for qualifying. The Ferrari fans, the Red Bull fans, the Racing Bull fans, everyone is here and everyone is ready to watch a great qualifying session. The stands are packed in Miami as we are about to get underway in just a minute time. Max Verstappen getting ready to get out on track. He's ready like always to get back out on track, so it's going to be interesting to see how Verstappen will do. Can he set a faster lap than he did in sprint qualifying? A minute 27.641 was the qualifying lap in the sprint, was the fastest lap in the sprint qualifying. The pit lane's going to open in about a minute or so we are just less than a minute till the pit lane opens. The Max Verstappen, who leads the World Drivers' Championship on 118 points. Lando Norris there's a lot of drivers eager to get out in the pits, so it will be very interesting to see how that fares with traffic early on. Pit lane's about to open in less than 30 seconds. Lewis Hamilton going to make his way out on track. Adrian Newey, his final season at Red Bull alongside Christian Horner in the Red Bull team. The Ferraris about to get out on track in any moment. The Ferraris are getting ready for Leclerc to get out on track. And we are officially ready. The pit lane's about to go green any moment, and we are about to get ready. Yuki Tsunoda getting out and ready, about to get out on track. So, Carlos Sainz also going to get out on track in a moment's time once the pit lanes open, when the pit lanes go green. And the pit lane's about to go green for round 6 of the FIA Formula One World Championship. we go qualifying again. The pit lane about to go green any moment. As we are 17 minutes to go in Q1, 17 minutes to put your best lap forward here. As everyone is out on track, most of the drivers are out on track. Everyone's going for an out lap, so it's going to be who's going to go. So it's going to be a lot of traffic out on track, as we do have two drivers, as we do have a bunch of drivers out on track. Gasly, Ocon, Hulkenberg, Magnussen, Sargent out on track. Logan Sargent going to get his first lap in. Going to be the first driver to get out there. Hamilton, Ocon, Gasly, Magnussen, Albon, Sargent are going to be out on track. As Logan Sargent, the first driver to put metal to the pedal and put his first lap in qualifying. So we'll keep an eye on Logan Sargent as he goes through his lap. As he starts to go through his lap. As he goes through his first lap of qualifying. Logan Sargent, who's putting a lap in at the moment, he's about to go to the checkered flag, and we'll keep an eye on Logan Sargent as the lap begins. As he starts his lap, he's going through, and Logan Sargent will be the first to put metal to the pedal and get a lap in. Zhou Guanyu incident, failing to order the directions, failing to follow directions. So Logan Sargent, he's going through a lap at the moment. Logan Sargent, Ocon, the leader currently in qualifying. But Logan Sargent about to put a lap in. He puts going past Sargent. He's got the fastest Sector 1. Going into Sector 2 for Logan Sargent, who now does not have the fastest Sector 1 at the moment. Logan Sargent, everyone on the soft compound tires. Logan Sargent's about to go fastest as he goes through turn 16 at the moment. Down the back straight goes Logan Sargent. Every driver besides Bottas and Verstappen are out on track. Sargent got quickest in the second sector, about to go through turn 16. A little traffic behind Carlos Sainz. As he goes through turn 18 as well, turn 19, he goes through the final turn, and he goes quickest in the qualifying session. He goes quickest. Magnussen goes quickest as well. Magnussen moves up to P1. Sargent goes back to the pits. He does not complete a full lap there. Hulkenberg goes fastest, and he's the only driver to have completed a lap. Logan Sargent would have completed a lap if he didn't go back to the pits. So currently it's Hulkenberg, followed by Ocon, Magnussen, and Gasly. Piastri is about to complete a lap. Piastri is going through another lap. Lewis Hamilton about to complete a lap. And Lewis Hamilton goes quickest in qualifying, a 128.817, the fastest lap of qualifying. Alex Albon goes fifth quickest, as Albon goes fifth quickest. Carlos Sainz goes fastest in Sector 2. It's George Russell, followed by Ricardo Hamilton, as George Russell goes quickest. Russell, then Ricardo, followed by Hamilton, Hulkenberg, Ocon, Magnussen, as Alonso goes second quickest. Carlos Sainz looks to go fastest, and he does. Carlos Sainz puts it on provisional pole, a 128.159. Sargent, Verstappen, and Bottas still yet to hit the track in this qualifying session, as Lance Stroll goes 6th quickest in this session. Leclerc goes 2nd fastest, so it's Carlos Sainz followed by Leclerc, Russell, Alonso, Ricciardo, Norris, Hamilton, Stroll, Hülkenberg, Magnussen, Albon, Gasly, Piastri goes 4th quickest, Zhou Guanyu in 15th, Perez goes 3rd quickest, as Hülkenberg, Ocon, Magnussen, Gasly, Tsunoda goes 10th quickest. So we've only got 3 drivers to yet to complete a lap. Verstappen going on an out lap, so we'll keep an eye on Verstappen's lap. But Sainz, Leclerc, Perez, Logan Sargent has not yet set a time yet. Verstappen and Bottas are doing out laps. Sargent about to get out on track. So Sargent is still in the pits. Verstappen and Bottas are out on track. And so is Logan Sargent, who just made his way out of the pits. Verstappen says, that didn't sound very good. Out the pits, the clutch. Stand by with that, says Verstappen and his team. As Perez, Piastri, Norris, Tsunoda, Stroll, Hülkenberg, Magnussen, Albon, Sargent, Verstappen, and Bottas are out on track, with the rest in the pits. Sargent looking to set his first lap. So is Verstappen. Verstappen is out on a lap. Verstappen says, all okay with the clutch. So it sounds like they have fixed the issue they had before with 10 minutes and 30 seconds remaining in Q1. Sainz got a 128.151 as Verstappen starts his first lap of qualifying. Verstappen, who's going very quick into turn 3, approaching Pierre Gasly and overtaking Gasly, who's slowed down for him. Verstappen into turn 6 already, going into turn 8 already. 10 minutes to go in qualifying in Q1 at the moment. Verstappen looks like he's about to get on provisional pole at the moment. He goes not that fast of a sector 1. Verstappen going into turn 11. Over Bottas yet to set a lap, and so has Sargent yet to set a lap. Verstappen making his way through the S's and into the back straight. Into the back straight he goes. Into the back straight. Verstappen goes going down the back straight, fastest in sector 2. Into the back straight goes Verstappen. Currently the fastest lap of qualifying. As he goes fastest, a 128.023 is his fastest lap of qualifying, as Bottas goes 5th fastest, and Logan Sargent is still out there on a lap. As we go take a look at Logan Sargent's lap, as Logan Sargent, I can't really tell where he is in sector 3, as he's about to make his way into sector 3. Going through a lot of traffic there, but some cars letting him go by. As Logan Sargent goes only 11th fastest. Zhou Guanyu has yet is doing an outlap. Fastest sector 3 at the moment. Hamilton got the fastest sector 1. Fastest sector 2 for Verstappen. And fastest sector 3 for Sargent. Magnussen goes 13th fastest. Lewis Hamilton out on a good lap. He's fastest in sector 1 on his lap at the moment. Going down the back straight, in the S's into the back straight. Verstappen, the fastest in qualifying. The elimination zone looks like not that fast of a sector 2. The elimination zone looks like Tsunoda, Ocon, Albon, Gasly, and Zhou Guanyu. As Lewis Hamilton, he's going down the back straight. He goes into turn 19, going into the checkered flag, and he goes third fastest behind Sainz and Verstappen. Tsunoda in 17th. Can he improve on the last lap he had? His fastest lap, a 128.915. But Tsunoda, currently about to go into turn 19, going down the straight. Tsunoda, as we take a look at his lap, he goes at 12th fastest with the 128.556. Norris in 16th, followed by as Carlos Sainz goes fastest, a 127.937, which is faster, which is still slower than Verstappen's fastest lap in the qualifying for the sprint race. Lando Norris is also on a good lap at the moment. So Norris goes. He's currently P16 at the moment. 5 minutes ago in this in Q1. 5 minutes and 40 seconds to go in Q1. Norris goes second fastest behind Carlos Sainz at the moment. So it looks like Logan Sargent, followed by Gasly, Magnussen, Zhou Guanyu, and Alex Albon are the drivers to get eliminated. So Albon in 20th, Zhou Guanyu in 19th, Magnussen in 18th, Gasly in 17th, and Sargent in 16th. Those are the drivers who are in the elimination zone at the moment. So Sargent, Gasly, Magnussen, and Ocon. Sargent, Gasly, Magnussen, and Albon are in the pits. Zhou Guanyu looking to get a great lap as he goes back to the pits. Pierre Gasly's Perez still out on track. So we only have a couple drivers left out on track. We have Leclerc, Perez, Piastri, and Norris. So both of the McLarens out on track, which includes Piastri and Norris out on track with 4 minutes to go in this qualifying session. Leclerc goes back to the pits. Perez is still grinding, still putting a lap in. Jean Pablo Montoya, who's in the pits at the moment, he's watching the race at the moment. So Perez going back to the pits. That was Piastri going back to the pits. So Lando Norris still putting a lap in, as the elimination zone still looks the same. Leclerc getting his way out on track for an outlap. Leclerc's looking to do an outlap. Norris, Verstappen a lot of drivers looking to get back out on track. So the pit lane everyone's getting back out on track. Sergio Perez, who's fastest in qualifying, still slower than the lap that Verstappen produced in qualifying, in sprint qualifying, but still getting closer to the lap that was produced in sprint qualifying. Perez set the fastest lap of qualifying, a 127.772. Perez heading back to the pits at the moment. So Leclerc, Norris, Verstappen, Magnussen, Hülkenberg, Sargent, Ocon, all making their way. Albon making their way out on track. Ocon is making his way out of the pits, and so is Yuki Tsunoda making his way out in the pits, out of the pit lane. So is both of the Racing Bulls. Ricciardo also getting out on track at the moment. Tsunoda getting out on track. So is Lewis Hamilton making his way out on track. George Russell following Hamilton out on track. So Perez followed by Sainz, Norris, Verstappen. 2 minutes to go in qualifying, so at least another lap maybe 2 laps to go, maybe at least a lap to go. Gasly making his way out on track, so is Alonso. Everyone's out on track besides Perez, Piastri, and Bottas. All out on track. Bottas making his way out on track. So is Piastri. Perez still in the pits, fastest in qualifying with the 127.772. Sergio Perez is dominating at the moment. Probably going to want to get himself out on track, possibly. So 19 drivers out on track. It's going to be tough to set the fastest lap. And that's what they've all got their sights upon, as 19 of the drivers, every driver besides Perez, is out on track. Sargent, Gasly, Magnussen, Zhou Guanyu, and Alex Albon are in the elimination zone at the moment. As Yuki Tsunoda's got to put a good lap in. We've got 40 seconds to go in qualifying in Q1. When we get to after Q1, I'll highlight who's in the elimination zone, who's getting knocked out. So Leclerc, Perez still fastest. Leclerc getting a faster time, but still 6th place. Magnussen, Sargent, and Albon are the drivers we are focusing on. Magnussen, who's dominating on a lap already, trying to get faster as Verstappen goes fastest with the 127.689, a 127.689, faster than his qualifying lap earlier. As the checkered flag's about to be waved, some drivers have already crossed the checkered flag. Sargent goes 12th fastest. He goes 12th fastest, which puts Ricciardo in the elimination zone. So Hülkenberg and Sargent are the only drivers to take the checkered flag. So as Alex Albon, so the 2 Racing Bulls in the elimination zone at the moment. But they're still going for a lap. Ocon puts his pedal to the pedal as he goes 8th quickest. Tsunoda, as I am on board with Tsunoda, Yuki Tsunoda goes 9th fastest. What will Ricciardo do? Bottas, Ricciardo, Magnussen, Gasly, and Zhou Guanyu, who are all setting laps at the moment, as Ricciardo doesn't get anywhere, still 17th fastest as he takes the checkered flag. So Lance Stroll in the elimination zone at the moment. So it's Stroll, Bottas, Ricciardo, Magnussen, Gasly, and Zhou Guanyu. Some drivers yet to take the checkered flag. So Lance Stroll is still at risk. As Gasly goes 5th fastest, Stroll goes 10th fastest. Tsunoda is 12th at the moment. So Magnussen still going to set a lap at the moment. Magnussen about to cross the finish line. He went to the pit lane to take the checkered flag at the moment. And Piastri all the drivers are going in back to the pit lane. So once the drivers get back to the pits, we'll take a look at what we've got in the elimination zone. So what we have, what the starting grid looks like at the moment to start the race. Ocon making his way back to the pit lane. Qualifies for Q2. Albon made his way back to the pits as well. Ricardo, Tsunoda barely escaped Q1. Barely escaped Q1, Tsunoda did. As they are all back in the pit lane. Lewis Hamilton, all the drivers getting their way. Lewis Hamilton, who's currently 9th, heading back into the pits. Bottas currently 16th at the moment. So everyone has set their lap. It's on to Q2 at the moment. The eliminated drivers in Q1 at the moment. We have, starting in 20th, you've got Zhou Guanyu, followed by Kevin Magnussen in 19th. You've got Daniel Ricciardo in 18th. Starting in P20 in the Sauber, you've got Zhou Guanyu. And then in 19th, the Haas of Kevin Magnussen. 18th is the Visa Cash App Racing Bull of Daniel Ricciardo. In 17th, you've got Logan Sargent in the Williams, and P16, Valtteri Bottas in the Sauber. So those are the drivers and where they will be starting for the race as long as nothing changes for the starting of the race. Q1 is done. Zhou Guanyu, Kevin Magnussen, Daniel Ricciardo, Logan Sargent, and Valtteri Bottas are the drivers eliminated. We've got 15 drivers remaining, and 15 drivers have moved to Q2 for the second part of qualifying, which is about to start in a moment. Verstappen still fastest, set a slower lap than the one he set in qualifying. In sprint qualifying. Yes, everyone's going to take their seats for the second part of qualifying, which is about to get underway in a couple of moments or so. Q2. So the conditions right now, the weather in Miami is looking good. As we are about to start Q2, 85 degrees is the temperature at the moment in Miami Gardens, which is where we are taking place. So Zhou Guanyu starts 20th with Kevin Magnussen in 19th. You've got Daniel Ricciardo in 18th, Sargent in 17th, as Bottas in 16th. Zhou Guanyu, Sainz, and Leclerc, failing to follow race director's instructions on the maximum delta time, will be investigated after the qualifying session, as we are about to get underway for Q2. The condition, it's not supposed to rain for the race tomorrow, so that means some sunny conditions. So when the race begins, we'll have 86 degrees temperature. It's going to be a hot race, to be honest. It's going to be a really hot race. But it's still going to be, it's going to be a hot race, but it's going to be, even though it's going to be a hot race, it's still pretty good conditions, still sunny conditions at the, Hard Rock Stadium and around, as we go racing around the Hard Rock Stadium. Q2 about to start. As Sauber will not be taking part in Q2 because both of their drivers are starting P20 and P16 for the race. Yuki Tsunoda out-qualified Daniel Ricciardo, which wasn't the case for the sprint race. Track temp being 47 degrees Celsius at the moment. As we are ready for Q2, Zhou Guanyu going to be investigated after the session. He's going to be starting P20th. P20 from what I'm seeing at the moment, as the drivers are about to make their way out on track. Not a huge rush to get back out on track, as we've still got 14 minutes left in Q2. Don't know what tires everyone is running on, but we'll get that information to you guys once I figure out what compounds everyone's using. So it's going to be 85 degrees to start Q2. Track temperature being 47.4 degrees Celsius. The air temperature being 29.1 degrees Celsius with a humidity of 54%. The wind is blowing 12 kilometers an hour south. So that's what we've got in terms of wind. So we are just 2 minutes into Q2, and no one has seemed to left the pits yet. No one has seemed to want to leave the pits at the moment. There's the people who spent a lot of money going in the fake, going into really bad looking yachts that they put on the side of the track. It's the race in Miami never seems to get better. The race in Miami just seems to be a rich person gathering. As Yuki Tsunoda first out on track, as there's a big rush to get out on track. Stroll is out on track, so is Tsunoda. The only two drivers out on track at the moment. Perez is making his way out on track. Tsunoda is the first to start a flying lap in Q2. Perez making his way out on track. So is Verstappen. Verstappen making his way out on track as well for Q2. Norris about to make his way out on track in the McLaren as well. So you've got Tsunoda, Piastri, and the other McLaren making his way out on track as well. Hamilton in the Mercedes getting out on track as well. Piero Ferrari is in the pits at the moment. He's there in the pit lane. George Russell, the other Mercedes, making his way out on track. So is Sainz and Leclerc in the Ferrari, and the other Ferrari of Carlos Sainz both making their way out on track. As Leclerc is getting out on track. So is Carlos Sainz, as most of these drivers are on an out lap with 11 minutes to go in Q2. Sainz in the Ferrari making his way out on track. So is Alonso in the Aston Martin making his way out on track. Getting out on track at the moment. Esteban Ocon in the Alpine making his way out on track. So is Gasly in the Alpine making his way out on track, as Tsunoda starts his first flying lap of Q2. Hulkenberg in the Haas makes his way out on track. So does Alex Albon makes his way out on track as well. So the only drivers in the pits. So every driver, 15 drivers out on track. Every driver who has made it to Q2 is out on track. Tsunoda going to set the fastest lap of qualifying, because he's the fastest lap in Q2 because he's already out there on track. As Verstappen starts a flying lap at the moment. As Tsunoda going down the back straight. Going down the back straight is Yuki Tsunoda with 10 minutes to go in Q2. Going down the back straight is Yuki Tsunoda. Making his way down the back straight. Verstappen at the moment fastest sector 1. Yuki Tsunoda making his way into turn 18. Coming out of turn 17 into turn 18. Into turn 19 and across the checkered flag, and Yuki Tsunoda goes quickest in Q2, being the only driver to basically set a lap. Lance Stroll goes second quickest, followed by Alonso, who goes followed by so it goes Tsunoda, then Perez, then Stroll, who has set a lap already. Gasly, who goes couple drivers yet to set a fastest lap as Verstappen goes fastest, 1:27.972, the fastest. Lando Norris goes quickest in this session, in Q2. Lando Norris goes fastest in Q2. As Oscar Piastri goes second, goes fastest. So McLaren a 1-2 at the moment, as Russell goes sixth fastest. Sainz, Gasly, Leclerc, Ocon, Albon, as Leclerc goes fastest. So Sainz, Gasly, Ocon, Albon, Hülkenberg, and Alonso all looking to set laps, as Sainz goes fourth quickest. So currently Gasly, Ocon, Albon, Hülkenberg, and Alonso in the elimination zone at the moment. As Alonso goes 10th quickest. Ocon yet to set a lap. So as Gasly and Albon. Ocon goes 9th quickest. Gasly about to turn the corner, and Gasly goes 9th quickest. Albon and Hülkenberg. Hülkenberg goes 6th quickest. As Albon going, as we have a yellow flag in Sector 3, as there's Pierre Gasly's family. A yellow flag in Sector 3, Lando Norris in Sector 3. He goes a little bit wide. Don't really know what happened there. But everyone has set a lap at the moment. No yellow flag. The yellow flag is gone at the moment. 6 minutes to go in Q2. As Lewis Hamilton returns back to the pits. Everyone's still on the soft tires at the moment. Alex Albon, who crashed his car, but hopefully gets back out on track. Albon is currently out on track still. Albon still going fast. Went in the wall, but he seems to be fine. Seems to be doing well. His car seems fine. So it looks like nothing major happened on the crash there. So we've got 5 minutes left in Q2. Qualifying number 2. Ocon makes his way back to the pits. So does Gasly. So Albon, the only driver out on track, and the only thing we could talk about is Alex Albon, who's currently in P15 at the moment. That's the only thing we can talk about. So Albon out on track. The only driver out on track. So 5 minutes to go in qualifying. So maybe we get to see some more magic from Albon. Nope. Albon goes back to the pits and will be quiet for the next couple moments because everyone else is in the pits. No cars out on track. 15 cars in the pits. No one out on track. Still waiting for a driver to get out on track. 5 minutes to go in Q2. Qualifying number 2. As everyone is still stationed in the pits. Russell, in the track dominance, if you look at the track dominance map, Russell has dominated most of the track. Russell has dominated most of the track. As it looks like some drivers are getting ready to get out on track. Hulkenberg's getting out on track, so is Tsunoda. Hulkenberg and Tsunoda and a whole list of other drivers getting out on laps. So we will focus on Hulkenberg and Tsunoda at the moment because they are out on track. Alonso making his way out on track as well. So is Perez. Perez is getting out on track. So it's Hulkenberg, Tsunoda, Perez, Stroll, Alonso, both of the Aston Martins out on track. Leclerc getting out on track, so is his teammates not out on track. Hamilton out on track at the moment. So is Carlos Sainz getting out on track. So everyone is out on track besides the 2 McLarens and the 2 Alpines. No, Gasly is the only out as Ocon makes his way out on track. Gasly's still in the pits. As he makes his way out on track. Maybe the 2 McLarens, Piastri and Norris, will want to get on track soon. As we've got 2 minutes left in this, 2 minutes to go in this qualifying session. As Lando Norris gets out on track. Tsunoda still 7th fastest. Albon's out on track, so is Oscar Piastri. So everyone is out on track. We've got 15 drivers and 2 minutes to punch the time for the fastest lap. Who will get out eliminated in Q2? Who will be the 10 drivers moving on to Q3? As we look at Fernando Alonso's lap at the moment. Fernando Alonso trying to get out of the elimination zone. Looks like he's got to get a pretty good lap to get out of the elimination zone. So does his teammate Lance Stroll. We're focusing on the Aston Martins at the moment. So is Lewis Hamilton. Still in the elimination zone. Can he get out-qualified by George Russell? Will he be, is the question. As Alonso going down the back straight. Lance Stroll is about to make his way onto the back straight, going into turn 14. As Yuki Tsunoda goes 6th fastest. Alonso making his way to the line, about to get to the checkered flag. As Lance Stroll looks like he's having a better lap than Pierre Gasly. Lance Stroll, Fernando Alonso he only goes 13th fastest. What will Lance Stroll do? As Lance Stroll currently going into turn 18, going to the checkered flag, as you see, he goes 9th quickest and out of Q2 goes Lance Stroll, possibly. Lewis Hamilton setting a lap as Oscar Piastri and Charles Leclerc go. Lewis Hamilton goes 2nd fastest, which puts his teammate George Russell in the elimination zone. Let's see what George Russell will do. He looks like he goes 8th quickest at the moment. So 8th quickest for George Russell. Esteban Ocon. What will he see from Esteban Ocon? And is the big question, will Yuki Tsunoda go to Q3 for the 2nd time in the sprint race, since the sprint race? Ocon does not go faster. Ocon takes the checkered flag as Hulkenberg makes his way back to the pits. Albon, can we see if he gets a faster lap? Both of the Alpines are knocked out in Q2. Still waiting for Tsunoda goes back to the pits as he takes the checkered flag. Perez still out on track. A select full of drivers still out on track. Alonso, I don't think he can get a faster lap, though. As we'll see, though, Alonso makes his way back to the pits. What will Lance Stroll do? Lance Stroll not on a flying lap at the moment. Still hasn't taken the checkered flag yet, but Lance Stroll, who goes back to the pits, taking the checkered flag, and Yuki Tsunoda makes his way to Q3 at the moment. Once everyone gets back out and back in the pits, we'll go through the top 10. Leclerc, Verstappen, Hamilton, Perez, Piastri, Norris, Sainz, Russell, Tsunoda, and Hulkenberg have made their way back to Q3. So it's Alonso who gets knocked out in 15th. It's Alonso starting P15, followed by Albon so it's going to be the Aston Martin of Fernando Alonso starting P15, then the Williams of Alex Albon in 14th. The Alpines follow next with Ocon starting in 13th and Gasly starting 12th, with Lance Stroll, the other Aston Martin, starting P11. Lance Stroll out-qualifying his teammate Fernando Alonso as Alex Albon makes his way back to the pits. And we are going to get underway for Q3 in just a couple of minutes' time. So 10 drivers, 1 lap is what they're looking for. 10 drivers, 1 fastest lap is what is set for, is what everyone is looking for in Q3. That's what everyone is looking to set during Q3. So, Leclerc, Verstappen, Hamilton, Perez, Piastri, Norris, Sainz, Russell, Tsunoda all made their way to Q3. So we'll have 10 drivers remaining in Q3. The temperature to start Q3 will be 85 degrees. That is the temperature to go. Leclerc, who went fastest in Q2, getting ready for Q3. So we've got 10 drivers remaining, and everyone's got an equal chance in Q3 to punch their fastest lap. In Q3. So Q3 is about to get underway in a couple of minutes' time. Yuki Tsunoda, Nico Hülkenberg, Lewis Hamilton, Charles Leclerc, Lando Norris, Sergio Perez, Oscar Piastri, George Russell, and Carlos Sainz Jr. and Max Verstappen, all taking part in qualifying number 3 in Q3. As Q3 is about to begin, 12 minutes to punch your fastest lap. Don't know what kind of tires everyone's going to be using. Most likely the soft tires. Leclerc has more... Verstappen has more track dominance on the straights, on the longer straights, but Leclerc's got track dominance on the corners, as everyone's about to get underway, Q3 is about to get underway. As the pit lane's about to open for Q3, everyone's about to get out on track, Yuki Tsunoda included, and the driver is about to get out on track. And Q3 is about to start. So Q3 about to begin. So Q3 about to begin. 12 minutes on the clock for a lap to be put in. Nico Hülkenberg going to make his way out on track at some point. As there's going to be a bunch of drivers lined up to get out and ready to in the pits. And we're underway. Q3 is underway. Nico Hülkenberg, the first driver out on track. As we keep an eye on Hülkenberg being the only driver out on track. Looks like Yuki Tsunoda will follow in Hülkenberg's steps. And Yuki Tsunoda will get out on track. Yuki Tsunoda is also out on track. Lewis Hamilton will get out on track as well. And so is George Russell. So Hamilton, Perez, Russell, Tsunoda, and Hülkenberg out on track. Perez and Verstappen making their way out of the pits. 11 minutes ago in Q2 and Q3. In this 12, they have 10 minutes and 56 seconds to put a lap down. Everyone besides Leclerc, Piastri, and Sainz are out on track. Norris making his way out on track, so is Leclerc. And Sainz, Piastri, don't know what he's doing, don't know if he'll wait a couple moments. Or go for it. Yes, he is getting out on track. So everyone's out on track. We've got 10 drivers out on track to put pedal to the metal and punch their fastest lap in qualifying. Charles Leclerc, pole position this weekend. We'll see him equal Niki Lauda for 12th on the all-time pole position list. Will Charles Leclerc be the fastest in qualifying is the question. we've only raced twice. Perez, who got pole position last time out in Miami, but Leclerc got the inaugural pole position back in 2022. Everyone out on track. Hamilton putting a flying lap in at the moment. Leclerc, Verstappen, Piastri, Norris, and Sainz. As Verstappen goes quickest. So Verstappen P1 at the moment. Leclerc, who moves to honorary P1. Nico Hülkenberg, who completes the fastest lap, and he's on. Nico Hülkenberg takes pole position. 129.104 is the fastest lap in qualifying so far. Will anyone beat Nico Hülkenberg's Q3 lap? Will anyone beat Nico Hülkenberg is the question. Nico Hülkenberg on pole position at the moment. But Yuki Tsunoda goes to second. Yuki Tsunoda P2 at the moment. Hülkenberg still on pole position as Hamilton snatches pole position with the 128.654 lap. Lewis Hamilton's on pole position for the time being. George Russell, his teammate, takes pole position, a 128.067. So George Russell will be on pole position, not as Sergio Perez takes pole position, a 127.754 is his lap at the moment. Pushes Tsunoda down to 5th. Verstappen is in pole position. A 127.241 is his lap at the moment. Will anyone beat Verstappen's pole position lap? Norris goes 3rd quickest. Not pole position worthy. Leclerc goes 2nd quickest. Not pole position worthy. Piastri, who goes, Sainz goes 3rd quickest, not pole position worthy. Piastri, who's going around the final corner at the moment, and puts a lap in. Piastri's 4th, so Verstappen's still on pole position for the time being. Lewis Hamilton saying, I had no grip, man. I have no grip. Lewis Hamilton, I guess, has no grip. Lando Norris, the only driver who's not on the soft compounds. He's chosen the mediums. As Tsunoda and Hülkenberg make their way back to the pits. Lewis Hamilton makes his way back to the pits. So it's Hamilton, Hülkenberg, and Tsunoda in the pits right now. As everyone seems to be going back to the pits for some reason. Lando Norris still out there on track. Verstappen is dominating over Leclerc, who's in P2 currently. Dominating over Leclerc in P2. Norris goes back to the pits. So does Leclerc. Sainz maybe doing an in-lap at the moment. I can't really tell. Sainz is doing an in-lap. And let's go to an onboard of Piastri. Let's look at Piastri, who currently sits in... all the drivers are back in the pits, by the way. So every driver is... the 10 drivers in the pits at the moment. 5 minutes to go in qualifying. 5 minutes to go. And we've got 5 minutes to put a lap on the board. So Everyone's got 5 minutes to put a decent lap on the board. Not a decent lap, a good lap on the board. As no one has made their way back out on track yet. So no one has made their way back out on track. So we'll just wait to see if anyone will be daring enough to get back out on track. And who will be the first out on track with 4 minutes to go in qualifying? Who will be the first driver back out on track with 4.5 to go in qualifying? Who will be the first out on track? So that is up for anyone to decide. So the track getting ready. 3 minutes and 30 seconds to go in qualifying. Nico Hülkenberg, the first driver out of the pits and onto the track. So is Yuki Tsunoda. Yuki Tsunoda making his way out on track as well. Yuki Tsunoda in P10, Hülkenberg in 9th. Piastri is out on track too. So is Perez out on track as well. So 4 drivers making their way out on track at the moment. So 4 drivers out on track at the moment. Verstappen going to get in the action as well, with 2 minutes and 50 seconds to go in Q3. Verstappen getting out on track. So Verstappen, Piastri, Perez, Norris gets his way out on track. He's getting out on track as well. So the 2 McLarens out on track. Leclerc getting out of the pits as well, making his way out of the pits too. So is Carlos Sainz. So the 2 Mercedes are still in the pits, and looks like they're going to make their way out on track. So Hamilton's out on track already. George Russell is out on track at the moment, is getting his way out on track at the moment. As we've got 2 minutes to go in Q3. 2 minutes to go in Q3. The 2-minute warning in Q3. Verstappen, the fastest lap overall at the 127.241. Can anyone get on pole position? Yuki Tsunoda completing everyone on an out lap. Tsunoda starting a lap, by the way. So is Hülkenberg. Hülkenberg can't get faster than 9th at the moment. 4 seconds off the leader. Tsunoda is 4 seconds off the leader. Maybe he'll get a better lap in this time around. Because Hülkenberg is just 1 second behind. Verstappen, Leclerc, Sainz, Norris, Russell, and Hamilton on their outlaps. And if their outlaps don't take a while, then they will all be out on track. They should all be starting their laps. Tsunoda, not having a good qualifying Q3. Still 4 seconds off the leader, off Verstappen's lap, and I know Verstappen's lap was very tight. But Hülkenberg goes to P8 as Hamilton goes down to P9. 20 seconds to go in qualifying. Now we've got 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. as Tsunoda goes 9th quickest. Verstappen still putting a lap in. No one has taken the checkered flag yet. No one is yet to take the checkered flag. And we see that Piastri, P4 at the moment, not as Perez goes to P4. Piastri is in P5 now. Both taking the checkered flag. Verstappen on pole position at the moment. Will anyone take that away from Verstappen, as Leclerc not that good of a Sector 2 at the moment? Will Sector 3 be better for Leclerc, as Verstappen takes the checkered flag in first? Leclerc in P2 as he goes, Lando Norris goes 5th fastest. Leclerc in P2, he's going to the finish line, but he's still 2nd quickest. Leclerc still 2nd quickest. Sainz and Hamilton, still waiting for Sainz and Hamilton's lap. Sainz still 3rd quickest. Hamilton and Russell still completing a lap at the moment. So Russell, Tsunoda, Hülkenberg, and Hamilton, they've still got laps to complete. As Hamilton goes 8th quickest. What will George Russell do? George Russell goes 7th quickest. Doesn't perform quicker, as there's Mick Schumacher. Verstappen gets pole position as Hülkenberg goes back to the pit lane. He goes back to the pits. And Tsunoda probably going to make his way back to the pits as well. And he does. And that does it for qualifying. Max Verstappen, he gets pole position. He got pole position for the sprint race. He got pole position in Miami. For the first time in Formula 1 in Miami Grand Prix history, Max Verstappen is on pole position. And the 3rd different driver to get pole position during the race, during the Miami GP. 7 in a row for Verstappen. 7 in a row for Verstappen. Pole positions, I think. As Verstappen slots into 1st place. We do have Leclerc in 2nd. Leclerc making his way to the P2 spot. And Sainz making his way to P3. Stick around. We've got the post-driver... We've got the post driver. What do you call it? We're doing the post driver interviews. After, so stick around for the post driver interviews. As George Russell makes his way into the pit lane. As everyone's making their way back to the pits. And we are going to go for the post-driver interviews. Which I will be giving you the post-driver interviews. So Verstappen finishes 1st with Leclerc in 2nd, Sainz in 3rd, Piastri followed by Perez in 4th, followed by Norris in 5th, Piastri 6th. Russell, then Hamilton, Hülkenberg, Stroll, Gasly, Ocon, Albon, Alonso, Bottas, Sargent, Ricciardo, Magnussen and Zhou Guanyu. And that is the qualifying results on the day as we wait for your post-driver interviews. His home race, it will be Sargent's home race. He's starting 17th on the grid. And we will go to the post-driver interviews, the post-race interviews. Post-driver interviews. And here another pole for Max Verstappen. His 38th of his career. 6 out of 6 on the season. Great start to this weekend. You've already done very well so far, but yesterday you were surprised in qualifying to get pole. Feel a little bit better today. Pretty hooked up. Yeah, I think definitely improved in the car. Know what it is. Single year that we come here, I find that it's extremely difficult to be very consistent with the car. That it's just super hard to make sure sector 3 at the end of the lap. Sector 3 is really hard. Today it was really about finding the balance. I think we did okay. I mean, let's not say the most enjoyable part of my career, but how slippery it is and how you're not very confident on the lap. But we are pole, and that's the most important. Your control, the gap at the finish, and you said maybe not the best of your career. Improved in the race, feels a little bit more. And we'll see how Verstappen does tomorrow. I mean, Verstappen starting pole position is going to be something interesting. I'm not going to translate you guys the post race. You guys can watch it yourself. Best of luck, Verstappen. And in P2, we shift to P2. Charles Leclerc is in P2. And man, he's going to have a tough race as well, Leclerc. Starting in P2, behind Verstappen. Starting behind Verstappen, it's very hard to get in front of Verstappen. Just by, watching the races, it's very hard to get in front of Verstappen. And I think that's what Leclerc's challenge is going to be this weekend. The race tomorrow is to get in front of Verstappen throughout the race. So, going to be very interesting to see how that goes. Maybe Max Verstappen is going to put pressure, pressure on. Pressurized. So he's starting on the front row of the grid. It's going to be a tough race. Hopefully the battle is in the turn 1 is going to be pretty good. It always is, except when Verstappen's, all the way in front. All the way in front. You could watch, a whole TV show by the time he's finished the race. He's, watching, he's watching the other drivers in the race. He's got popcorn. Carlos Sainz is P3, so Ferrari gets P2 and P3. He's starting row 2 on the grid. P3 goes to Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari. In the blue Ferrari driver suits. Pretty weird driver suits. We'll see how Sainz does. How Sainz goes throughout this race. Going to be tough starting behind Leclerc. We all know that Carlos Sainz is leaving this season. This is his final season for Ferrari, and he's going to want to do whatever he can to get the results, to do what he's always been doing and deliver the results, That's what he wants to do, So it's going to be interesting to see how that will fare. It's going to be a tough race tomorrow. Carlos Sainz saying it's amazing to drive in front of this crowd. Everyone in the USA knows what Ferrari. A lot of people in the USA, everyone knows who Ferrari is, and everyone kind of expects them to have some great performances as they do their post picture with their trophies they get, the trophy ceremony for the qualifying. As they do their picture, the blue is really standing out on the Ferrari. The Ferrari blue really standing out there. There's another to present him with the first place trophy, fastest lap. Film producer Jerry Bruckheimer. Jerry Bruckheimer. Who is Jerry Bruckheimer? Jerry Bruckheimer. Never heard of that guy in my life. Never heard of any of those movies he's been in. So I don't. He's American, so of course he's American. Of course he's got to be American. So that does it for us in qualifying. Join us for the race tomorrow, which is going to be so much fun to do the race tomorrow. Bye.